What's up, y'all? This is your girl Tasha Max from Mommy Has Tattoos. If you're not doing so, go follow me on Mommy Has Tattoos on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all those things. I talk a little bit about being a single mom, mental illness, tattoos, of course, relationship stuff. I've been through it all, coming from an abusive home. Anything that would come to my mind, stuff that I've been through, stuff that I've seen other people go through. I got a little bit of wisdom, a little bit, know a little bit something about something. So hopefully y'all listen to my woes, and hopefully I could put out a little bit of good information out there, and hopefully somebody can use it and do better in the areas where I messed up at. So, anyways, we're here to laugh, we're here to cry, we're here to have a good time. So, thank you for listening, and stay tuned for the next podcast. Hey, y'all, what's going on? So, what's been happening in my life right now that I've been kind of having a lot of anxiety about is my move to Texas. I'm moving from California to Texas. I've been talking about it for a long time, but things have been popping up, things happening, I getting sick or just dealing with family drama or financially. And right now, the summer it has to happen for me. And I'm trying not to put it off because I just feel like I'm at this point where if I don't get down there, then something else is going to happen where I can't move. Now my issue is that my anxiety is getting in the way, and those thoughts like, oh, what if this happens, and ultimately I'm going down the rabbit hole of thinking about all the worst possibilities possible. This move is going to be very beneficial because San Antonio, Texas, it has a lot of jobs. I can transfer jobs anyways, but it's also a cheaper cost of living, and I could financially prosper there, versus California. It's so expensive for no reason. Like, holy crap. But this whole, I don't know the words to use. This whole thing is just giving me a lot of really crazy emotions going on. So what I've been doing is, I guess, convincing myself that I'm so overwhelmed. So I'm just like, okay, I'm just not gonna do it at all. And that's one of my issues is that sometimes I can get so overwhelmed that I just won't do nothing at all. And it's kind of like my own mind is stopping me from prospering and getting stuff done that I need to get done. And or I'll just do it at the last minute, and just to get by and because I'll be in that fight or flight mode or something like that. But I'm trying to do something that's proactive and not reactive this time around. One thing that I've been learning this, like past year or few years is that dwelling on the past is not going to do anything for my future. And it is harder said than done. And sometimes, like for this move, for me, dwelling on all the things that can go wrong is not benefiting me anything. So, and it can be very overwhelming, the feelings of trying to move on to something new. But I think it's really important for me to try to convince myself or encourage myself that this is something that needs to be done, because if you just sit back and do nothing, you're going to regret it years later. You're going to have that regret years later that I hear a lot of older people say, like, oh, I wish I would have went back and did that move, or I wish I would have went back and wrote this or did that. And I know I don't want to be that type of person. I don't want to be that person that looks back in my life when I'm older, or I mean, if I make it to old age, anyways. I don't want to be that person that looks back and regrets everything, didn't take any risks, and didn't make any moves for me and my family because I was scared, or I let somebody else stop me from doing what I need to do. And I think that's what a lot of people do, because I hear it all the time. And I have people telling me now, I have people telling me that, oh, you're comfortable right now, you have this, that, and other, you need to be grateful. And what a lot of people don't understand is I am grateful for what I have. I just want better for myself. I want better for me. I want better for my kids. I don't want to be living in the apartment my whole life and paying somebody else's mortgage, living in an expensive town or a city where my kids are, even though the town is really expensive, the schools are pretty bad, or just have walking out the door and seeing other people like all around you, when I can move somewhere else and get more for my money, pay my own mortgage. Yeah, it's a debt, but it's your debt, and it ultimately you're paying so that you can own that place, versus you're paying somebody else's mortgage and nothing's going to happen. If you can't pay the next month, then you get kicked out. Versus if you have a mortgage, you can find something, you can find assistance to help you out or whatever, but I don't want to trick myself into being so confused to the point where I do absolutely nothing and overcomplicating things, making things too complicated to where I just ultimately just put things off and be comfortable with the bare minimum. I don't want to do that. And what I'm realizing is that what's happened, I looked up a term, it's called fear-based confusion, where you're so confused and you're overwhelmed with emotions about making changes in your life, that you ultimately do nothing. You get too confused to take any action at all. One thing that I've been doing to get past my fear of and my extreme anxiety of making new changes is just sitting back and taking a breather and letting myself know, like, okay, like you have to do this. You need better in your life. You need better for your kids, and convince myself that, okay, I need to make this decision and set on it. I usually, I'd be writing notes down. I started talking to people. I started telling people about my goals, or telling people about the things I'm going to do in the near future, so that sometimes when you do things like that, it makes people hold you accountable to what you say that you're going to do, or your plans. I feel like in my past experiences, when I've made bigger changes, once I finally make a decision, sometimes it feels like the universe is just opening up doors for me by being around the right people, or coming across people who are encouraging or helpful, or forwarding you to the right places to go. And so sometimes when you just start putting away those doubts in your mind, and you can clear it up a bit, then it leaves room for you to be more positive and open-minded, and think clearly to move forward with whatever it is that you're trying to do. Whether it's trying to leave a relationship that's not benefiting you, a job that's not benefiting you, and look for something new. Some people will stay at the same job for years, decades, or their whole life, just because they're comfortable there and they don't want to take the risk of losing that job. So they never try to, apply for something better. Because it might be like, oh, I don't think I'm good enough, or that's too much. I don't know. It's just so many excuses. And I know I don't want to be like that, because I know that I'm never going to get too much farther in life if I stay stay in this comfortable place where I'm at right now. When I got sick back in 2018 and kind of had to start over with my life, and I'm so grateful that I was able to find a job, an apartment, and all that stuff over again after I got sick. And it really laid a foundation for me and my kids to be comfortable for a while. However, this is not where I want to be. This is not where I want to stay. I know, and I just have this feeling like I need to move. Like this is just a pit stop in your life, and now it's time to move on. A lot of people think that fear is a sign of danger, and if you feel any type of fear, you should do anything you can to stop it or avoid it. And a lot of times it stops us from moving forward or from making those big important changes in our life, like getting a new job, moving to a better city, or ending that toxic relationship. And then we end up just turning around and just going back to whatever feels comfortable. Even if the place that someone is comfortable with doesn't really bring you that much joy. Like if you're with somebody and they really don't make you happy, or compliment your happiness. They really are. They're lying. They're cheating. They're doing everything to make things uncomfortable for you, but you'll stay there or go back because that's what you're comfortable with, or not taking that new job because your mind convinces you to that trying to get the new one is just too much. There's too much going on, too much fear of the unknown. So you just stay at that job that you hate. A lot of people have probably experienced this at some point in their life, but I think that everybody who's successful or doing something new most of the time have had that fear or nervousness or just trying to move forward, every day, especially if you have anxiety or depression, things like that. It could stop you from achieving a lot of things in your life. One thing I try to also tell myself is that if I keep letting fear of the unknown or whatever stop me from moving forward, it's most likely going to stop me from coming across new opportunities in my life. And there's always a possibility of failing. Everything that we do, it can either go good, it can go bad. There's always that chance that we'll fail. That I think that's just a part of life. You just have to keep moving forward and try your best to start thinking more positive. At least that's what I'm trying to do anyways. Think more positive because it'll boost your confidence and boost your self-esteem and just motivate you so that you don't end up self-sabotaging your own plans like I've done in the past. I've self-sabotaged my own plans a lot. Because what I'll do is right in the middle of having these good plans in order, I'll just end up thinking of the worst case scenario possible. Like the worst case scenario possible, and then end up just being afraid, just not doing anything. I think that one of the things that why people don't take steps, and sometimes even me, is that I'll get it in my head that the worst case scenario is that I'll die, or so just something is going to happen that I won't be able to recover from. But what I failed to realize when I'm overthinking or just thinking irrational is that I've been through worse. I've came from an abusive home. I've survived an abusive home. I've survived being in the military. I've survived a stroke recently. I've survived so much So I have to continuously give myself that reassurance that you can do this. You've got through so much. Like even if you get down there to Texas and things start to fall apart, you're going to pick it up. You're going to get back together and you're going to move forward and do well just like you always do. I've come to the understanding that in order for me to grow, I'm going to just have to take a leap of faith. Because if I just stay here and just sit just in what's comfortable, then I'm going to rob myself and my kids of possibly great experiences and opportunities. That's like one problem that I have in my life is letting things go and moving forward. And I'm 31 now, and I'm trying to stop bringing all those bad habits from my 20s into my 30s, because I could have been so much farther in life, besides having the stroke. I don't think that was, I couldn't do anything to prevent that, really, those events that happened. But other than that, I've done some pretty self-sabotaging things, and that has stopped me from moving forward and kept me. I'm always repeating the same thing, being in the same situations or being in the same part of my life where I'm always being reactive instead of proactive. I'm learning to start trusting myself more and start giving myself more credit than I do. So I'm going to end this podcast with, don't be afraid to make new changes in your life. Don't be afraid to move forward. Don't be afraid to take on that new job or apply for that new job, or make that new move to a new city. Don't be afraid to end that new relationship that's either bringing you down or just stopping your growth. Don't be afraid to do better in your life because of fear. And I know that might be a little weird to say because of fear, but you gotta try to get past that. Because if you never get past that, you're just gonna always be stuck in the same place in your life, and you're gonna see the world moving forward, and you'll have these ideas for your life or these plans, but when you don't put anything in action, or you don't take those big changes, then you're just going to be stuck. You're going to be stuck, and you're going to watch the rest of the world move on. And there's nothing that you can do about it except for make changes in your life. Don't be too hard on yourself about failing. Just try to look back and assess the situation and see what you can do better, instead of just giving up entirely. Because if you give up, then guess what? Nothing's going to happen. You're just going to be stuck. And surround yourself with positive, motivational people that encourage you to do better. Because when you have people that's just sucking your ear, just saying, oh yeah, moving or doing this or that, it'll be too much. Like, I wouldn't do it. I'd stay here and I do this and that. You gotta surround yourself with people who have already done it, people who have moved and are successful, people who have applied for new jobs or parenting their kids better, or successful in their relationships, not just relationships romantically, but relationships with friendships. Just you have to surround yourself with more positive people, because the negative ones, they're just going to bring you down and encourage you to stay in that same spot that you're in. You're never going to be uncomfortable with you're never going to be comfortable with doing something new, especially if you've never done it before. But I think I read somewhere where it said you got to be uncomfortable with you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And And I think that's true. It's making big changes is never going to be a comfortable situation. There's always going to be anxiety. There's always going to be the unknown. There's always going to be the potential of failure, but you'll never know what's going to happen unless you actually do it. And if something happens and you do fail, then guess what? You could just pick yourself up and move on. Yeah, I mean, of course, obviously, if you have children and other people involved that rely on you, you have to take that into accountability as well, because you can't just go out on a limb and end up putting them in a bad situation. So it's always good to write down those steps, and make little small moves towards a big change instead of just leaping into it all together. You have to put all those precautions in place just in case one thing fails, so you have a plan B or plan C. But anyways, I want you guys have a good day or night, and thank you for listening. Don't be afraid to make changes in your life. Okay, bye.